Ladies and gentlemen, respect is the foundation of strong relationships, whether personal or professional. But what happens when people don't respect you? It can be frustrating, disheartening, and even demotivating. However, how we respond to disrespect defines our strength, character, and leadership. Today, I will share 5 powerful ways to handle people who don't respect you, while maintaining your dignity and self-worth. When faced with disrespect, the natural human reaction is often to respond with anger, frustration, or defensiveness. However, reacting emotionally in such situations can escalate conflicts rather than resolve them. The ability to remain calm and composed in the face of disrespect is a powerful tool that demonstrates self-control, emotional intelligence, and inner strength. When a person maintains their composure despite provocation, they send a clear message that their emotions are not easily manipulated by external factors. This not only helps them retain their self-respect, but also subtly commands the respect of others, even those who initially sought to belittle or undermine them. One of the most significant reasons why staying calm is effective is that it prevents the situation from getting worse. When disrespect is met with an equally hostile reaction, tensions rise, and a minor issue can quickly escalate into a full-blown conflict. On the other hand, when one responds with a level head, it often diffuses the situation. The other person may even realize their own inappropriate behavior when they see that their attempts to provoke a reaction have failed. This can lead to self-reflection on their part, making them reconsider their approach in the future. Another reason for maintaining composure is that it provides clarity of thought. When emotions take over, rational thinking is clouded, and people often say or do things they later regret. By staying calm, one gains the ability to think logically about the situation, assess the intentions behind the disrespect, and choose an appropriate response. Not every act of disrespect is intentional. Sometimes people speak or act in ways that come across as rude due to stress, ignorance, or personal struggles. A composed mindset allows for the ability to differentiate between deliberate disrespect and unintentional insensitivity. Practicing self-control in the face of disrespect also helps to maintain a person's dignity and self-worth. When someone is disrespectful, they often expect an emotional reaction. If they succeed in provoking anger or frustration, they gain a sense of control over the situation. However, when they are met with calmness, they are denied the reaction they seek. This demonstrates a higher level of maturity and self-respect. People who remain composed under pressure are often perceived as stronger, more confident, and more capable. This ability is especially important in professional settings where emotional reactions can damage reputations and career opportunities. A calm demeanor in difficult situations earns respect from colleagues, superiors, and clients, positioning an individual as a reliable and level-headed person. Furthermore, staying calm allows one to respond strategically rather than impulsively. In many cases, disrespectful individuals thrive on confrontation. They may use emotional reactions as evidence to justify their own actions or to manipulate the narrative. By responding with composure, one eliminates the opportunity for the disrespectful person to gain an upper hand. Instead of reacting immediately, it is often beneficial to take a moment to process what was said or done, assess the best course of action, and then respond in a manner that is both firm and respectful. This could be through addressing the issue directly in a composed manner, seeking clarification, or choosing to disengage altogether if the situation does not warrant a response. Developing the ability to remain calm in such situations requires practice and self-awareness. One effective technique is deep breathing, which helps regulate emotions and prevents impulsive reactions. Taking slow, deep breaths in moments of stress signals the brain to remain calm and helps maintain a sense of control. Another helpful strategy is to mentally detach from the immediate situation and view it as an outsider. This perspective shift makes it easier to respond logically rather than emotionally. Additionally, practicing mindfulness and emotional regulation techniques, such as journaling or meditative reflection, strengthens overall resilience against negativity. Another important factor in staying composed is recognizing that not all disrespect requires a response. Some situations do not deserve attention or energy. It is essential to pick battles wisely and determine whether addressing the disrespect is necessary or if ignoring it is the better option. In cases where the disrespect is coming from a person whose opinion holds no value, it may be best to remain unaffected and move on. However, if the disrespect affects one's personal or professional standing, addressing it in a calm and assertive manner is crucial. Emotional intelligence plays a key role in handling disrespect with composure. It involves being aware of one's emotions, understanding their triggers, and managing them effectively. People who have high emotional intelligence do not let external negativity dictate their internal state. They recognize that their self-worth is not determined by others' opinions or actions. They also understand that people who resort to disrespect often do so out of their own insecurities or struggle. Viewing disrespect from this perspective makes it easier to respond with patience and self-assurance rather than taking it personally. In some situations, responding calmly to disrespect can even lead to positive change. When a person maintains their composure and addresses the issue maturely, it sets an example for others. Sometimes disrespectful individuals are not aware of the impact of their behavior until they see it reflected back at them. A calm response can create an opportunity for a constructive conversation, helping to foster better understanding and improve relationships. This is especially relevant in workplaces, friendships, and family dynamics where long-term relationships are at stake. Staying calm in the face of disrespect is an investment in one's own mental and emotional well-being. Constantly engaging in conflicts and allowing others to dictate emotional responses can lead to stress, anxiety, and negativity. Choosing to remain composed allows for peace of mind and a sense of control over one's life. It helps to focus energy on what truly matters instead of wasting it on unnecessary disputes. Maintaining a calm attitude not only enhances personal strength, but also creates an environment where respect is more likely to be reciprocated over time. Setting clear boundaries is a crucial aspect of maintaining self-respect and ensuring that others treat you with dignity. When people consistently disrespect you, it is often because they do not recognize or acknowledge your personal limits. Without clear boundaries, others may assume they can speak to you or treat you in any manner they wish without consequence. Establishing firm boundaries communicates that certain behaviors are unacceptable and that you will not tolerate being treated in a way that diminishes your worth. Boundaries act as invisible lines that define how others can interact with you and what kind of behavior you are willing to accept in your personal and professional relationships. When setting boundaries, it is essential to be firm, yet respectful. Many people struggle with this because they fear that enforcing boundaries may come across as rude or confrontational. However, setting boundaries is not about being aggressive. It is about being assertive. Assertiveness allows you to communicate your needs and expectations clearly without being disrespectful or hostile. For instance, if someone frequently interrupts or talks over you in conversations, you can address it by calmly stating, "I appreciate your enthusiasm, but I would like to finish my point before hearing your perspective." This kind of response is neither rude nor passive. It simply sets the expectation that your voice deserves to be heard. Another critical aspect of setting boundaries is consistency. If you establish a boundary but fail to enforce it consistently, people may not take it seriously. For example, if you tell someone that you do not appreciate being spoken to in a condescending manner, but then allow them to do it repeatedly without addressing it, they may assume that your words hold no weight. It is important to reinforce your boundaries every time they are crossed so that others understand that they are non-negotiable. Consistency builds credibility and ensures that people respect the limits you have set. One common challenge when setting boundaries is dealing with individuals who react negatively or attempt to manipulate you into feeling guilty. Some people may push back when you begin to assert yourself, especially if they are used to treating you a certain way without consequences. They may accuse you of being too sensitive or difficult, hoping that you will back down. In such situations, it is essential to stand your ground. Recognizing manipulation tactics and refusing to be swayed by guilt is a key part of maintaining boundaries. You have the right to protect your well-being, and anyone who genuinely respects you will ultimately adjust their behavior accordingly. Boundaries are particularly important in professional settings, where maintaining respect is essential for career growth and a positive work environment. If a colleague or superior frequently disrespects your time, such as expecting you to stay late without prior notice, you can establish a boundary by stating, "I am happy to contribute, but I need advance notice for extra work hours." Similarly, if a coworker consistently takes credit for your ideas, you can address it by calmly pointing out your contributions in meetings. Workplace boundaries not only protect your professional integrity, but also reinforce your value within an organization. In personal relationships, setting boundaries helps to foster mutual respect and emotional well-being. If a friend or family member often makes hurtful remarks under the guise of jokes, you can assert your boundary by saying, "I know you may not mean harm, but I find those comments hurtful, and I would appreciate it if you didn't say them." By doing this, you make it clear that certain behaviors are not acceptable without escalating the situation into an argument. Strong boundaries in personal relationships lead to healthier interactions and prevent emotional exhaustion caused by constant disrespect. Another important aspect of boundary setting is knowing when to walk away from relationships or situations that do not respect the limits you have established. While it is ideal to address issues and give people a chance to change, some individuals simply refuse to acknowledge or respect boundaries. If someone continuously disregards your limits despite clear communication, it may be a sign that they do not value your well-being. In such cases, distancing yourself from that person or environment is sometimes the best decision for your mental and emotional health. Walking away from toxic relationships is not a sign of weakness, but rather an affirmation of self-worth. Learning to set boundaries also requires self-awareness and self-consciousness. Many people struggle to assert themselves because they doubt whether they have the right to demand respect. However, recognizing that everyone deserves to be treated with dignity is the first step toward confidently enforcing boundaries. Understanding your own values and limits allows you to communicate them with conviction. When you know what is acceptable and unacceptable to you, it becomes easier to articulate those boundaries in a way that others understand. Boundaries should also be flexible enough to allow for healthy adjustments when necessary. While it is important to stand firm on core values, there may be situations where slight compromises are reasonable. For example, in a workplace setting, flexibility in handling deadlines or occasional overtime may be necessary, but that does not mean allowing yourself to be exploited. Similarly, in personal relationships, understanding different perspectives and occasionally adjusting your expectations can help maintain harmony. The key is to ensure that any compromise still aligns with your self-respect and well-being. Setting boundaries is not about controlling others. It is about controlling how you allow others to treat you. When people know that you respect yourself enough to establish limits, they are more likely to respect you in return. While it may take time for some individuals to adjust to the boundaries you set, those who genuinely care about you will make the effort to honor them. The process of setting and maintaining boundaries ultimately leads to stronger, healthier relationships built on mutual respect. Leading by example is one of the most effective ways to gain respect and influence others, especially when dealing with those who do not initially show respect. People tend to mirror the behaviors they see consistently. And when they observe someone demonstrating integrity, kindness, and professionalism, they are more likely to adopt a similar attitude over time. When confronted with disrespect, the natural reaction for many is to retaliate or respond in kind. However, this approach often fuels conflict rather than resolving it. Instead, choosing to maintain dignity, patience, and a respectful demeanor sets a powerful precedent that can change the dynamic of any relationship or environment. When someone treats another person with disrespect, it often stems from their own insecurities, frustrations, or personal struggles. Responding with the same negativity only reinforces their belief that hostility is acceptable. On the other hand, when they see that their negative behavior is met with calmness and professionalism, they may begin to reconsider their action. People respect those who remain composed under pressure and who do not allow external negativity to dictate their internal state. Demonstrating control over one's emotions shows strength and wisdom, qualities that naturally earn admiration and respect from others. Another key aspect of leading by example is demonstrating consistent ethical behavior. Many people respect those who stand by their principles, even in difficult situations. If a person who lacks respect witnesses someone consistently making honest decisions, treating others with fairness, and refusing to engage in gossip or negativity, they may begin to recognize that respect is not demanded, but earned through actions. Even those who initially resist respecting others often cannot deny the power of integrity when they see it in practice. Over time, such behavior can shift the perspective of even the most dismissive individual. In professional settings, leading by example is especially impactful. A workplace culture is often shaped by the behavior of its most influential individuals. If a leader, manager, or even a colleague consistently demonstrates respect, teamwork, and a strong work ethic, it encourages others to follow suit. For example, if a team member frequently disregards the contributions of others, responding with equal disregard will not solve the issue. Instead, by continuing to acknowledge and appreciate the efforts of colleagues, one sets a standard that discourages dismissive behavior. Even in situations where immediate changes are not visible, the long-term effect of maintaining a respectful and professional attitude fosters a more positive and cooperative work environment. Another dimension of leading by example is practicing active listening and understanding. People who feel disrespected often assume that their perspectives are not valued. By making an effort to genuinely listen to others, even those who do not initially show respect, one creates an opportunity for dialogue rather than conflict. When someone sees that their opinions are being considered, they may become more inclined to reciprocate that respect. This does not mean agreeing with disrespectful individuals, but rather engaging with them in a way that demonstrates patience and maturity. In many cases, this approach encourages them to adopt a more respectful tone in future interaction. Emotional intelligence also plays a significant role in leading by example. People who can manage their emotions and respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively set a precedent for how others should behave. If an individual consistently handles stressful situations with grace and problem solving rather than frustration or blame, it encourages others to adopt a similar approach. Those who rely on disrespect as a means of exerting control or influence may find themselves at a loss when they realize their behavior does not provoke the expected reaction. Instead of escalating tensions, they may begin to adjust their approach in response to the steady and composed examples set before them. There is also a deeper psychological effect when a person leads by example in the face of disrespect. Many people act disrespectfully because they expect to be met with resistance or hostility. When their actions do not produce the anticipated response, it forces them to reassess their behavior. Over time, continuous exposure to positive and respectful behavior can gradually shift even deeply ingrained negative attitudes. Respect becomes difficult to ignore when it is displayed consistently and confidently. Maintaining a standard of respect also helps establish credibility. People who are consistent in their values and behavior gain trust and influence over time. This credibility makes it easier to address issues when they arise because others recognize that the individual leading by example operates with integrity and fairness. Whether in personal relationships, professional settings, or broader social interactions, people are more likely to listen to and respect someone who has demonstrated through their actions that they uphold the principles they expect from others. Another essential component of leading by example is resilience. There will always be individuals who resist change, who persist in their disrespectful behavior, despite being shown a better way. However, the true test of character lies in continuing to model respect, patience, and understanding in the face of resistance is what ultimately creates lasting influence. While immediate results may not always be visible, the long-term impact of consistently demonstrating respectful behavior can be profound. Over time, people begin to recognize and appreciate those who lead with strength and integrity rather than force or intimidation. And then they recognize, in many cases, people who initially show disrespect may later acknowledge the positive influence of someone who led by example. The effects of such behavior are often seen in the way others start to adjust their actions, sometimes without even realizing it. Small changes in tone, language, and approach can indicate that the message has been received, even if it is not verbally acknowledged. The influence of leading by example extends beyond individual interactions. It contributes to shaping the overall culture of a group, workplace, or community. Self-respect is the foundation of how others treat an individual. When someone does not respect themselves, it often signals to others that they do not need to either. People tend to mirror the energy and confidence that someone projects, which is why having a strong sense of self-worth is crucial in handling disrespect. If a person consistently allows others to cross their boundaries, talk down to them, or treat them unfairly without addressing it, they send a message that such behavior is acceptable. On the other hand, when a person demonstrates self-respect through their words, actions, and decisions, they establish an unspoken expectation that others should treat them with dignity. One of the key aspects of self-respect is recognizing one's value, regardless of external validation. Many people fall into the trap of seeking approval from others to feel worthy, which can make them more vulnerable to disrespect. When someone bases their self-worth on how others perceive them, they become more susceptible to manipulation, criticism, and negative treatment. True self-respect comes from within and does not waver based on external opinion. It is about understanding personal strengths, standing firm in one's beliefs, and refusing to compromise core values for the sake of acceptance. This inner strength naturally commands respect from others, even from those who initially fail to acknowledge it. Another important element of self-respect is maintaining high standards in interactions and relationships. People who respect themselves do not tolerate continuous mistreatment, toxic behavior, or relationships that diminish their sense of self-worth. This does not mean reacting aggressively to every instance of disrespect, but rather knowing when to walk away from situations that are damaging. When someone values themselves enough to remove toxic influences from their life, it sends a strong message that they will not settle for anything less than respect. Others begin to recognize that they cannot mistreat such a person without consequence. This shift in perception often leads to a change in how they are treated. Self-respect is also reflected in how a person communicates. Confidence in speech, body language, and demeanor all play a role in establishing respect. Someone who speaks timidly, avoids eye contact, and hesitates to express their thoughts may unintentionally signal uncertainty, making it easier for others to dismiss or undermine them. In contrast, someone who speaks with clarity, maintains good posture, and asserts themselves without aggression naturally commands attention. People are more likely to respect those who present themselves as confident and self-assured. The way a person carries themselves communicates a great deal about their level of self-respect before they even say a word. Taking care of one's physical, emotional, and mental well-being is another essential aspect of self-respect. When someone prioritizes their health, maintains good hygiene, and presents themselves well, it not only improves their self-perception, but also affects how others perceive them. A person who takes pride in their appearance and well-being is often seen as someone who values themselves, which in turn influences the level of respect they receive from others. Similarly, maintaining emotional well-being by setting boundaries, practicing self-care, and engaging in positive habits reinforces the idea that one's well-being matters. People who prioritize their mental and emotional health tend to attract relationships and environments that reflect that same level of care and respect. Another sign of strong self-respect is the ability to stand up for oneself in a composed and rational manner. Many people struggle with this because they fear conflict or rejection. However, allowing mistreatment to go unaddressed only reinforces the behavior. Speaking up does not require aggression or confrontation. It simply means asserting one's rights in a calm and clear way. For example, if someone is being spoken to disrespectfully, responding with a composed yet firm statement like, "I don't appreciate being spoken to in that manner," immediately sets a boundary. When this is done consistently, others begin to understand that disrespect will not be tolerated. Respecting oneself also means taking responsibility for personal actions and decisions. People who constantly blame others for their circumstances or make excuses for negative patterns often struggle to gain respect. Taking ownership of mistakes, learning from them, and striving for self-improvement demonstrates strength and accountability. Others are more likely to respect those who acknowledge their shortcomings and actively work toward growth, rather than those who deflect responsibility. Self-respect includes embracing one's imperfections while continuously striving to be better. Confidence in one's decisions and choices is another important factor in earning respect. Many people feel pressure to conform to societal expectations or seek approval before making decisions. However, self-respecting individuals trust their own judgment and do not rely on external validation to feel secure. Whether it is making career choices, setting personal goals, or deciding who to associate with, people with self-respect follow their own path with conviction. When others see that someone stands by their choices without seeking excessive reassurance, they are more likely to respect their independence and strength. Self-respect also involves knowing when to let go of grudges and negativity. Holding on to resentment or seeking revenge against those who have been disrespectful only drains energy and keeps someone trapped in a cycle of negativity. Letting go does not mean allowing mistreatment, but rather choosing to focus on self-growth rather than dwelling on past conflicts. Those who carry themselves with grace, even in difficult situations, earn respect because they demonstrate emotional maturity and self-assurance. And emotional maturity and self-assurance. People who can move forward without being weighed down by negativity are often seen as strong, confident individuals who cannot be easily shaken by external circumstances. Surrounding oneself with positive and supportive individuals is another reflection of self-respect. People who allow toxic relationships to persist in their lives often struggle to maintain a strong sense of self-worth. Choosing to engage with those who uplift, encourage, and respect personal boundaries reinforces the idea that one values themselves enough to seek healthy relationships. The company a person keeps often influences how others perceive them. Those who surround themselves with individuals who treat them with respect naturally reinforce the expectation that they deserve to be treated well. The way a person respects themselves sets the tone for how others treat them. Those who have a strong sense of self-worth, maintain high standards, communicate confidently, and take care of their well-being naturally attract respect from others. While not everyone will immediately recognize or acknowledge this, self-respecting individuals do not rely on external validation to feel worthy. Over time, their actions, presence, and confidence create an unspoken expectation that they deserve to be treated with dignity, making it more likely that even those who were once dismissive will begin to show respect. Walking away from toxic situations and relationships is one of the most powerful ways to command respect and protect one's well-being. Many people struggle with this because they fear judgment, loneliness, or conflict. But staying in an environment where disrespect is constant only diminishes self-worth over time. When someone allows themselves to remain in a situation where they are not valued, they reinforce the idea that mistreatment is acceptable. Choosing to walk away, on the other hand, sends a clear message that respect is non-negotiable. It demonstrates strength, self-awareness, and the ability to prioritize personal peace over external validation. Recognizing when it is time to walk away requires self-reflection and honesty. Many people hold on to toxic relationships or environments due to hope that things will change, but in reality, consistent patterns of disrespect rarely shift without drastic action. If someone continuously undermines, belittles, or disregards personal boundaries, it is a sign that they do not value the relationship in a healthy way. Staying in such situations can lead to emotional exhaustion, self-doubt, and even a decline in self-esteem. Walking away is not a sign of weakness, but an act of self-preservation. It is about refusing to tolerate behavior that is harmful or demeaning. People often struggle with guilt when considering leaving a toxic situation, especially when they have invested time, effort, and emotion. They may feel responsible for trying to fix the person or situation, believing that if they stay long enough, things will improve. However, the reality is that true change only happens when the other party recognizes their behavior and makes an effort to improve. If disrespect and negativity continue despite open communication and boundary setting, then staying only prolongs the damage. Walking away is not abandoning someone, it is acknowledging that mutual respect is a requirement, not an option. Another reason people hesitate to leave toxic situations is fear of the unknown. Many worry that leaving will result in loneliness, professional setbacks, or strained relationships with mutual acquaintances. However, allowing fear to dictate decisions often leads to prolonged unhappiness. In contrast, stepping away from toxicity creates space for healthier relationships, new opportunities, and emotional healing. It allows personal growth to flourish without the burden of constant negativity. People who have the courage to leave situations that no longer serve them often find that life improves in unexpected and meaningful ways. Walking away also shifts the power dynamic in relationships. When someone continuously tolerates disrespect, the other person feels empowered to continue their behavior. However, when they see that their actions have consequences, it forces them to confront their behavior. Some people may realize their mistakes and make an effort to change, while others may react with anger or blame. Regardless of their response, walking away takes control away from the disrespectful party and places it back into the hands of the person choosing to leave. It is a declaration that mistreatment is unacceptable and that one's well-being is a priority. One of the biggest misconceptions about walking away is that it means giving up. In reality, it is an act of strength and self-respect. It takes far more courage to leave a situation that no longer aligns with one's values than to stay in an attempt to prove resilient. There is nothing noble about enduring ongoing disrespect. True strength lies in knowing one's worth and having the confidence to remove oneself from environments that diminish it. Walking away does not mean a lack of care. It means choosing self-care over toxicity. And the impact of walking away extends beyond personal well-being. It also influences how others perceive and treat someone. When people see that someone is unwilling to tolerate disrespect, they become more mindful of their behavior. It sets a standard for how they will engage moving forward. Many times, individuals who previously took someone for granted begin to respect them more once they realize they are not easily manipulated or controlled. Walking away forces others to recognize that respect is not something to be negotiated. It is a fundamental expectation. In professional settings, Walking away from toxic workplaces or unfair treatment can be challenging but necessary. Many people endure hostile work environments, unappreciative management, or unethical practices out of fear of losing financial security. However, remaining in a negative professional setting often takes a toll on mental and emotional health. Over time, the stress of dealing with disrespect in the workplace can lead to burnout, decreased productivity, and even physical health issues. While walking away requires careful planning and consideration, doing so opens the door to new opportunities that align with one's values and self-respect. Walking away is also a powerful lesson in self-love. It reinforces the idea that a person's happiness and peace are more important than pleasing others or maintaining appearances. When someone makes the decision to remove themselves from toxic relationships or situations, they create an opportunity to surround themselves with positive influences and supportive individuals. Letting go of toxic connections allows room for healthier relationships to develop, ones built on mutual respect and genuine care. People who practice self-respect in this way often find that they attract individuals who appreciate and value them for who they truly are. Learning to walk away is not always easy, but it is a skill that becomes stronger with practice. The more someone chooses to distance themselves from negativity, the more they reinforce their own self-worth. Over time, this becomes a natural response to disrespect rather than a difficult decision. It is a habit that builds confidence, emotional strength, and resilience. Knowing when to leave a situation that no longer serves one's growth is one of the most empowering choices a person can make. Not everyone will understand or support the decision to walk away. Some may try to convince someone to stay, while others may react with frustration or guilt tripping. However, seeking approval from others should never come at the cost of personal well-being. The only validation that truly matters is the one that comes from within. When someone knows in their heart that they are making the best decision for their own mental and emotional health, external opinions become irrelevant. Walking away is about reclaiming control over one's own life and refusing to be defined by toxic situations. Making the choice to leave is not about proving a point to others. It is about proving to oneself that self-worth is non-negotiable. It is about acknowledging that respect is not something that should be begged for or endlessly pursued. Those who truly value and appreciate someone will treat them with kindness and respect without needing to be convinced. Walking away from those who do not offer this level of consideration is a declaration that one's well-being is a priority. It is an act of strength, self-respect, and the ultimate way to ensure that one is surrounded by the right people and opportunities. Focusing on personal growth and success is one of the most effective ways to handle people who do not respect you. When others fail to acknowledge your worth, it is easy to get caught up in trying to prove yourself to them. However, true confidence and respect come from within, not from external validation. Shifting energy away from negative individuals and towards self-improvement not only enhances personal well-being, but also changes the way others perceive and treat you. People who focus on their goals, passions, and development naturally command respect without having to demand. One of the most empowering aspects of personal growth is that it redirects attention away from negativity and toward progress. When someone continuously faces disrespect, they may feel tempted to confront the situation directly or dwell on the mistreatment. However, this often leads to frustration rather than resolution. Instead of wasting energy on those who refuse to see your value, channeling that energy into self-betterment leads to real, lasting change. The more you invest in yourself, whether through education, career advancement, physical health, or emotional intelligence, the less impact the opinions of others will have on you. Success is one of the most effective ways to silence doubt and gain recognition. When people witness someone achieving their goals, despite negativity, they are forced to acknowledge their determination and resilience. Many who initially lacked respect may begin to shift their perception once they see tangible achievements. While seeking approval should never be the primary motivation, focusing on success naturally alters the way others interact. It sends the message that self-worth is not dependent on outside opinions, but rather on personal effort and perseverance. Setting clear goals and working diligently toward them fosters a sense of purpose and fulfillment. Often, people who disrespect others do so because they see them as unimportant or lacking direction. However, when someone consistently works toward meaningful objectives, they demonstrate ambition and discipline, qualities that inherently attract admiration. Whether it is excelling in a career, developing new skills, or working on personal well-being, continuous improvement speaks louder than any verbal response to disrespect ever. Confidence grows when energy is placed on self-improvement rather than on trying to change others. Many individuals waste time trying to make disrespectful people see their value, but true confidence comes from proving it to yourself, not to others. The more you focus on becoming the best version of yourself, the less their opinions matter. Over time, this self-assuredness creates an unshakable presence that others naturally recognize and respect. Even those who were once dismissive may find themselves drawn to the strength and self-sufficiency that personal growth cultivate. Resilience is another powerful aspect of focusing on self-improvement. When faced with disrespect, it is easy to internalize negative opinions and allow them to create self-doubt. However, when the focus is on growth, setbacks become learning experiences rather than sources of discouragement. Developing resilience means refusing to be defined by negativity and instead using challenges as fuel for progress. The ability to push forward despite adversity demonstrates mental toughness, a quality that often earns respect, even from those who were once dismissed. A strong support system plays a crucial role in personal growth and success. Surrounding yourself with like-minded, supportive individuals reinforces a positive mindset and provides encouragement during difficult times. Often, people who disrespect others thrive on the idea that their negativity will have a lasting impact. However, when someone has a strong foundation of mentors, friends, and role models who uplift them, the influence of negativity diminishes significantly. A supportive environment not only helps with personal development, but also serves as a reminder that respect and encouragement are available in the right circles. Personal growth also involves improving emotional intelligence and self-awareness. Understanding personal triggers, learning effective communication, and managing emotions all contribute to a stronger, more composed presence. Many who engage in disrespectful behavior do so to provoke reactions or establish control. However, when faced with someone who remains calm, composed, and self-assured, their attempts at disrespect lose effectiveness. And emotional intelligence allows individuals to navigate negative interactions with grace and assertiveness, further reinforcing their self-respect. Success and self-improvement naturally lead to opportunities that elevate a person's status and credibility. People who invest in themselves often find new career prospects, relationships, and experiences that further distance them from negativity. As growth continues, the individuals who once disrespected them often become irrelevant in the grand scheme of their lives. When someone is focused on building a better future, the opinions of those who do not respect them become insignificant. Another key aspect of self-improvement is learning new skills and expanding knowledge. Continuous learning not only enhances personal capabilities, but also builds confidence and credibility. People tend to respect those who demonstrate expertise and competence in their, whether through formal education, self-study, or hands-on experience. Gaining knowledge strengthens self-perception and how others view you. Those who once dismissed you may begin to take notice when they see tangible evidence of your growth. Health and fitness are also important components of personal growth that contribute to gaining respect. When someone takes care of their physical well-being, it not only improves confidence, but also projects discipline and self-respect. A well-maintained appearance and strong posture often influence how others perceive a person before they even speak. Investing in physical health through exercise, proper nutrition, and self-care reinforces the message that one values themselves, making it harder for others to dismiss or belittle them. A growth mindset transforms the way challenges and setbacks are perceived. Instead of viewing obstacles as failures, those focused on improvement see them as opportunities for learning and adaptation. This perspective prevents discouragement and fosters perseverance. People who continuously evolve and adapt demonstrate a level of resilience that others naturally respect. The ability to stay motivated, learn from experiences, and push forward despite difficulties sends a clear message that external negativity has no power over one's progress. Ultimately, those who prioritize personal growth and success naturally distance themselves from those who do not respect them. As they rise in their pursuits, they often find themselves in circles where respect is given freely rather than something that must be fought for. Over time, the negativity and doubt from others become background noise, while the accomplishments and confidence gained from self-improvement take center stage. Success is the greatest response to disrespect, and a commitment to growth ensures that personal value is determined from within, not by the opinions of others.